Hi, my name is Mabel, and I'm so excited to have this opportunity to share my birth story with my second born. Before I dive into the details, I did want to preface by giving a little bit of history of my pregnancy and trying to conceive story that kind of ties into this birth experience. I have a history of fibroids, and I decided to remedy that issue by getting a myomectomy, which is a surgical removal of fibroids. The route of surgery that I chose was called laparoscopic, and if you want, you can do all of your Google searching to learn more about that, but pretty much that is a robotic procedure where they kind of cut the fibroids into small pieces and they take them out from a small incision in your uterus. It was a successful surgery, and I was able to get pregnant a year later in 2017. My pregnancy and even labor and delivery experience was wonderful. It did not come without a few minor complications, but for the most part, I had a pretty healthy pregnancy, and I was even fortunate to find a birth team that supported my desire to have a vaginal birth. That's really key to my current experience because a lot of women are not afforded the opportunity to have a vaginal birth after myomectomy. And so I just wanted to share my story. Maybe in another video I'll talk more about my first pregnancy and my first labor and delivery experience, but there were some slight complications after that delivery that kind of tie into my current experience with my second labor and delivery. So when the time comes in that story, I will kind of tie those pieces together. But I just wanted to open up by saying that I had a laparoscopic myomectomy. It was successful. I had a vaginal birth after that myomectomy, and I'm so grateful for that chance. So with my second birth and pregnancy story, for the most part, again, it was a very uneventful pregnancy, meaning that I did not have many, if any, complications at all. Getting pregnant was much quicker than the first time. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic and us being home daily, but for the most part, getting pregnant was very swift, and I thank God for that. We didn't expect it to happen so quickly, but it did, and we were grateful for that. I did not have morning sickness. My nausea was very minimal. After maybe 3-4 weeks of nausea, it kind of dissipated, and I was able to enjoy my pregnancy as much as possible. Being pregnant with a toddler had its own, interesting moments. I was very tired a lot. I was very fatigued, and I found myself to be moving very slow. I felt that I was carrying much heavier this time, which may have all been in my head, but for the most part, I spent majority of my pregnancy chasing my toddler around and that was where a bulk of my physical activity kicked in. With my first pregnancy, I had gestational diabetes, and with this pregnancy, I did not. And I didn't struggle with anxiety or feeling overwhelmed as I did with my first pregnancy. I decided to pursue an out-of-hospital birth experience. I delivered with a midwife for my firstborn. However, it was in a hospital, and it was with a midwife and OB team. And it was a great experience, as good as it can be. And based off of that experience, I felt that if I was given the chance and opportunity, I would love to pursue hopefully a water birth and with a midwife only team. And so I was able to do that for this second time, and honestly, it was the best decision for me. For personal and financial reasons, it was the best decision for our family. Having midwifery care solely for this pregnancy was phenomenal. All of my appointments were at least an hour, and we really used that time to discuss birth and to discuss different scenarios. And as much as I love and have studied about childbirth, I still wanted to be assured that this decision was, the best for me, especially not delivering in a hospital. And we spent a lot of time, we meaning myself, my husband, and my midwife, we spent a lot of time really delving into the physiological nature of birth and how that can look like for me. In short, it was a great prenatal experience with my midwife team, and I suggest any woman who is low risk and able to definitely consider having a midwife for your birth experience. Also for this pregnancy, I did experience a little more physical pain than I did with my first. I had a bit of sciatica, and you can Google that if you want as well, but it was very uncomfortable, and I found a lot of relief by seeing a chiropractor. Now, if you know anything about a chiropractor, they do adjustments on the body to ensure that your body is aligned. And the same goes for pregnancy. There's so many things that are changing in our body throughout the weeks of pregnancy, and seeing a chiropractor will be very beneficial, especially if you're experiencing any type of lower back pain or achiness. But even if you're not experiencing any pain, I would highly recommend seeing a chiropractor to ensure that your body and your pelvis is aligned and ready for birth. There are many benefits to a chiropractor. I'm not going to go into details, but that's what I did. I saw a chiropractor from week 24 to the very end, and I saw one weekly, and I came to look very much forward to those appointments. I'll also add that I was breastfeeding in this pregnancy as well. It wasn't necessarily planned, but well into my second trimester, I breastfed my firstborn. It was an experience that gives me a lot of mixed emotions. It was okay with me because I was physically okay with it. My son was fine. I still had a pretty decent milk supply. However, once I hit my second trimester, it became very uncomfortable for me. My nipples were very sore, and I found myself almost having an aversion to breastfeeding. I did not like it. I dreaded it, and it was just very uncomfortable. My son did not care, and he found great pleasure and comfort from breastfeeding, but he was already beginning to wean anyway, and by week 25 he just stopped nursing, or I should say I was able to avoid him for a few days. And so we ended our breastfeeding journey in my second trimester. However, I found it very interesting how far I was able to go, and I kind of wonder what would have been my experience if I did tandem nursing. But that's just one highlight of this pregnancy that I wanted to add. My due date was in February, and so I spent majority of January 2021 preparing for birth. And this time, preparation was about rest and readiness. I did all I could to feel as relaxed and comfortable, and I tried not to overstress myself. This pregnancy, I was quite busy. I am a doula, so I serve a lot of women who are also pregnant and ready to deliver, and that took a lot of mental and physical energy. I'm also in school, so that too kind of compounded with a lot of my other tasks in life, and I was very busy this pregnancy, and so I looked forward to that last full month to just kind of center in and get ready for what was to come, especially being that I was planning to have an unmedicated birth, and delivering out of a hospital definitely meant I was going to have an unmedicated birth. I did all I could to rest, and I got ready by praying and finding comfort in my family and, connecting with my doula and my midwife to ensure that, I was emotionally ready for what was to come. I found that really centering in and meditating and reflecting on God's goodness in my life really helped me get ready for what was to come.